Welcome to Bike Life, a podcast from the Warmshowers Foundation. Here, we celebrate our global community of touring cyclists and hosts who make life on the road unforgettable. Through stories, insights, and shared experiences, we explore the connections that fuel every journey. Whether you're pedaling across countries or welcoming travelers into your home, you're part of a movement rooted in generosity and adventure. Discover more and join the community at Warmshowers.org. Now, let's hit the road together. Hey everyone, this is Jerry Kopak, the host of Bike Life, coming to you from the Rocky Mountains of Breckenridge, Colorado. Let's say you just finished a big cross-country bike tour and you're wondering, how do you get your bike home? You don't really want to deal with lugging a giant cardboard box around the airport, or maybe you just don't trust the airline to not lose your bike. I know they've lost mine a couple of times. So what do? Today's guest has an answer. Sue George is a lifelong cyclist, adventure rider, and the vice president of Bikeflights. Sue, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jerry. It's great to be here. Thank you.
So for listeners who might not be familiar, what is Bikeflights?
Bikeflights is a bicycle shipping service. So we ship bikes, wheels, and gears for all kinds of folks who love bikes. You can be an individual, you can be a bike shop, you can be an event or tour operator, you can be an industry bike brand.
Okay. So you mentioned that it's not just for shipping your bike for big races or big trips.
Yeah, I think, in our early years, we did quite a bit of marketing around shipping your bike for different events. It was a common way to use our service, but a lot of people don't know that, in fact, you don't have to ship a complete bike. You can ship a set of wheels, you can ship parts and accessories, got a pair of handlebars to ship, or new drivetrain parts, or any bike related component or gear. We're happy to ship that. And it doesn't have to be for an event. Like, it doesn't have to be that you're shipping a spare set of wheels to a mountain bike race or a cyclocross race. You could just be shipping them to a friend, or to somebody that you just bought and sold those wheels to online.
Excellent. Okay. So I was one of those people who kind of mistakenly thought that I just see people shipping these giant cardboard boxes either to an event or home from, say, a bike tour. So it's good to know that you guys don't just do that.
Mm-hmm.
So then sorry if this sounds obvious, but why would I use Bikeflights and not just UPS or the post office?
Well, Bikeflights, we've been around since 2009. Everybody on staff is a cyclist, and we take care of everything from the time you're looking into booking all the way until the time that your package delivers, or if you do have any issues and need to follow up with claims or anything, you interact directly with us. We'll save you up to 80% off bike shipping, but you're also talking to people who are experts in shipping all things bike.
That makes sense, because I definitely have tried to call FedEx or call UPS, and well, we all know how that turns out. So it's good to know that. And the other thing is, to your point, is when I call UPS or FedEx, they do good work, but they're probably reading from a script. They don't know me. They don't know what is in that box. They don't know that is my prized bicycle that I've had since I was 19 years old. So it's nice to know that people on the other end pick up the phone, for one, and also care about bikes.
Yeah. I mean, if you call us and ask us what to do about your derailleur when you're shipping bikes, we're going to know what you're asking. You probably don't get that if you call 1-800 the carrier, unless you just happen to get an agent online who is also a fellow cyclist.
Yeah. And what are the chances of that, right?
It happens, but maybe not as often as you might want it to happen.
So you guys are a US-based company. Do you ship to all 50 states, including those 2 outlier ones?
We do ship to all 50 U.S. states. We also ship to U.S. territories.
Anything else internationally? Do you guys venture outside the U.S.?
Yeah. We ship to about approximately 60 countries. I say approximately because things are changing constantly, especially in the world of international shipping right now. So the answer I give you today might be different by tomorrow morning at the current pace of change.
Sad, but funny, but true, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned your history. You guys have been around for a while. Kind of a random question, but do you know how many bikes you guys ship in a given year, or you've shipped so far?
Well, we celebrated, I think it's been well over a year now, 1.5 million shipments people served. So
Wow.
it's been a lot of shipments. We have more than 50,000 excellent customer reviews on our review service, Trustpilot. So it's been a lot over the years.
Yeah, okay, that's definitely reassuring for people who don't know your story to know that you guys aren't just operating in some basement in Minnesota or wherever you are, right?
No, that is correct.
Okay, good. So, for people who have never shipped a bike before, it can be a bit intimidating. What should people know
Yes.
before they start sending their bike?
I would say the first thing is to don't be scared. There's lots of people to help you, lots of resources out there. I would reach out to us, check out our YouTube channel. We have tons of educational resources on how to pack your bike and all different kinds of bike boxes and bike cases, step by step instructions. That said, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. The other thing I would say, and I think you said one thing, but I'm going to say too, is don't procrastinate. Don't wait till the very last minute. Start thinking about it ahead of time so you can figure out what box or case you're going to use. And if you don't already have that in your possession, how you're going to get it. Think about some of the logistics of where you're shipping to and from. It just makes it go a lot more smoothly. As with most things in life, if you plan ahead a little bit, it does make it a little bit easier.
So true. So I'm still stuck on the idea of shipping bikes. I'm just going to use that as a reference point.
Sure.
So people sometimes have their own bike cases that they use. Do those work? Or do you have to get one of the bike boxes, the cardboard
So
ones?
we do ship both boxes and bike cases. We also sell bike boxes in a couple of different sizes. So you always have the option to use one of our bike boxes, but you don't have to use one of our bike boxes. Most people don't. A lot of folks will go to one of their local shops and reuse a bike box that was used to get a bike initially from a manufacturer to a shop, for example, or they may already have a case or they might rent one from their local shop. That said, all bike cases and bike boxes are not created equal. We do have, like I said, a lot of resources on our website and on our YouTube channel. We have some recommended cases. You want to make sure your case is robust, that it's, suitably designed for withstanding normal shipping conditions, for example. So you don't want just a little thin cloth thing over your precious bicycle and expect that that's going to withstand shipping. You also need to make sure that your box or case meets the size requirements for shipping. And again, there's lots of information on our website about the maximum allowed size for domestic shipping. It can be different for international shipping, but it'll tell you the maximum sizes, the maximum weight for that.
So what about e-bikes? Because I know that's a growing
Mm-hmm.
trend. E-bikes, of course, weigh a lot more. They have the batteries as well. How does that work for shipping an e-bike?
So we can ship e-bikes domestically within the lower 48 states. So because of the batteries that are in e-bikes and current battery technology, e-bikes have to be shipped via ground service. That's why we can't ship it to Alaska or Hawaii or Europe, for example. But within the US, we can ship them just like you would ship any other bike, except there's a few extra special steps that you'll want to follow. They include things like if you can turn off your battery or off your e-bike, you'll want to power it off. You'll want to make sure your battery is fully installed the way it normally is in your bike. You're not putting it out. We can ship the battery that's fully installed into the bike, but not extra spare batteries. You'll want to discharge your battery to 30% or less prior to shipping, for example. But again, we have all these resources available on our site, really simple instructions. Otherwise, you pack it just like a regular bike, but with, as you astutely noticed and mentioned, e-bikes are frequently, on average, heavier, sometimes substantially than a non-e-bike. So when you pack anything that's bigger or heavier, you still have to meet the minimum or not exceed the maximum allowed size and weight. And when you pack something that's heavier, you often have to have more padding, better protection, because those objects just need additional, padding and support within the box or container that you're using to ship those bikes.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So do you see a lot of the most people just going to the local bike shop and getting an old box and using that? I mean, that seems like that works pretty well.
It's a great option for people who live near a local bike shop. It's also, there's a lot of people out there that aren't very close to a shop. They might not have the time or even a shop nearby enough to go get a box. They might not have a vehicle, but they could bring a box home with them, in which case you could order a box directly from us. We'd ship it straight to your front door. It would arrive. It arrives very small and compact, and then you build it up into the size that you want to use.
Wow, that is a great solution. It ships right to your door. Because, yeah, I
Yes.
guess I totally didn't think about that. If you have a smaller vehicle and you're putting this
Yeah.
giant bike box in there, it
Yeah.
may have to get strapped to the roof or not at all.
Right. Or you live in a city and you don't have a car. How are you
Yeah.
going to transport that bike box back from your shop? Now, that said, we work with thousands of bike shops across the country. And for some people, the best solution is to take their bike to a local shop and hire the shop to pack their bike for them. Either they don't have time or the expertise to do it themselves, or it just fits their schedule. It's more convenient overall. And then we can arrange the shipment such that we pick up that packed bike directly from your local bike shop. And you can do the opposite on the other end. Like if you know your tour is going to start or finish in one location or another, you can plan to ship directly to or from that shop, and you could choose potentially to hire them to pack it for you.
Oh, that's
or
great.
Assemble it and put it together if it's the beginning of your tour.
Yeah, especially if you're gonna be, or if you're gonna go in and out of the same place. So you're doing a tour in, say, a different state. You can ship to that bike shop. They build your bike. You take it and go do your thing, and then drop it off at the end of your tour, and they ship it back for you. Oh, that makes so much sense.
That's the way that many people will do it. I mean, you can also do it similarly with a local hotel. For example, if you're traveling for some sort of a tour and you're starting and finishing in the same place, you might ship it to your hotel. I did that myself this summer on vacation. They held the bike box for me until I was back from the tour. It was a loop tour, so I started and finished in the same place, and then packed it back up, picked it up right from the hotel, and it was back to my house from there.
Easy, just like that.
Yeah. We try to make it as easy as possible.
None of that lugging that big cardboard box or whatever case around the airport, right? Because that's a pain.
Whoa. Oh, yeah. And it's really funny because I did grow up doing that. I raced quite a bit growing up. And I remember one time having to travel with 2 or 3 bikes to a training camp or an event or something I was doing. And, I was very young, and yeah, at least one of them was a track bike. So it wasn't that heavy or big, but it was still, a nightmare to juggle that. Yeah. I can't imagine going back to that at this point.
Yeah, I think that I've traveled with my partner on different trips, and for 2 people to lug 2 bikes, at least we have one set of hands for each bike, but still 2 bikes is a lot, especially on a bike tour when you've got tent, sleeping bag, all your clothes and gear. Like it's a lot of gear. So this is a really good solution. So since we're talking about this, can you, I don't know, real easy walk me through how would I use your service? Let's say I have a bike box myself. What do I need to do to get this process going?
So it's very simple and straightforward. You go to bikeflights.com, which is our website. Once you go there, you'll click the button, ship a bike. It'll take you to a form online where you'll be prompted to enter information like your ship from address, your ship to address. You'll need to enter the dimensions for the box that you're shipping in. You'll enter the market value of whatever you're shipping. So what is your bike worth? You'll purchase protection. We call it premium protection. We recommend the amount that your bike is worth, just in case something were to happen. And then you follow through as prompted, and you'll enter your purpose of your shipment. And then you'll go to the next page. You'll be presented with different rates that you can choose from. We work with UPS, and so we offer different levels of service, ranging from ground level services to all the way up to next day air services as needed. As you're booking, you also have the option to schedule a pickup, or you can choose to drop it off at a local UPS store or location as you prefer. And so that all gets taken care of as you book. For our domestic shipments, one of the cool things we rolled out this summer is labels are instant now. So you get through the end of the process, check out literally like, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds or less, depending on how impatient you feel. It might feel shorter or longer, but right immediately after you pay, you get your label available, and you could print it out right there and get ready to put it on your box. If you're not near a printer at the time, don't worry. All that stuff saved in your account. It's really easy to go in after the fact, pull that label, print it, and get it ready for your shipment. And then you got your labels. You also need to pack your bike. I personally tend to pack my bike first, and then I get my label. But you can do it in any order as long as you know what your dimensions and weight are going to be of your bike. So
Yeah.
it's pretty straightforward, and like I said, if you need help with how to pack your bike, if you do it a lot, it becomes much more second nature. If you've never done it before, check out some of those videos of how to pack all different kinds of bikes and all different kinds of boxes and cases on our sites.
Yeah, because you had mentioned earlier that there's discussions about what to do with your derailleur, for example, because
Yeah.
that's one of those points of failure that if you break a derailleur or a derailleur hanger, well, you're
Yeah.
kind of SOL.
Yeah. So, and that's a great question. So I'll just go ahead and answer it. So the answer depends on how you're putting your bike into your box or case. So in some scenarios, you leave your rear wheel on and you just take your front wheel off. That's the case in a lot of common cases. It's that way in our Bikeflights Bike Box Large. In that case, you want to shift your derailleur all the way to the inside, like toward the spokes. So it's not protruding out. That means it's less likely to get contacted should anything impact the side of your box. I am a big fan of padding lots of things and everything, so I might choose to wrap something around it in that scenario. If I'm packing in a smaller box, like the one or a case where I need to take off both wheels, well, then I'm almost always, just take off your derailleur too. It's one more bolt. You can wrap it in some foam padding or bubble wrap. That's what I'll often use, and just zip tie it or use a little belay strap or something and attach it to your frame, kind of tuck it up in the inside so it's secured in place but not subject to damage.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. What about people who have disc brakes? Do you have people take their discs off, the rotors off?
We generally recommend that the best practice is to remove your rotors.
Okay.
It is very easy to bend them when you're shipping. Obviously, again, it depends on your box and case, how vulnerable they are, but the best practice is to remove them if at all possible, especially when you're taking off those wheels. And then you can just slot them in, like make a little small parts box. That's what I'll often do is pull off the rotors, pull off your pedals, any other small parts like water bottle gauges and stuff so things can fit in there. And I also put in the tools I used to take the bike apart. So I have them when I get to the other end to put it back together.
What about deflating tires? Does that matter?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I don't deflate my tires before I ship my bike. Yeah. And then I often will throw in, I'll usually have one anyways, if you're a bike touring, you often have a little pump or something with you. So if you do need to top off your tires, like they lose air over time. I'm sure you've noticed. If it's a while from when you shipped until you actually get to ride or vice versa, you're probably going to need to put some more air in your tires. And you can, now I will say that there is a really good reason to sometimes let some air out of your tires. If the fit's a little tight in your boxer case, especially because you have big fat tires, on a gravel bike or a mountain bike, if you let a little bit of air out, that can give you the space you need to get everything in there just right. Now, if you run tubeless, you might not want to let too much out so you don't end up with a puddle of sealant in the bottom of your boxer case when you ride. You don't really want to break that seal if you don't have to.
Yeah, right. Of course. So you had mentioned that when you were racing, you would transport 1, 2, sometimes 3 bikes, and you've been in this industry for a while. You've been with Bikeflights for a while. What changes have you seen over your tenure with the industry?
Well, the bike industry or the shipping industry?
Let's talk about the shipping industry. Good question.
Okay. I feel like the shipping industry changes every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. And especially this year because of changes with tariffs and international shipping constantly changing. But no, looking at it longer term, I've been with Bikeflights since 2014, so 11 years. Everything is always changing. The carriers are always innovating in their systems and their ways of, accepting orders and tracking things and processing things. So we're constantly adapting on our back end, like lots of new tech and everything to be able to efficiently serve all the people that we serve, all the customers that we serve. Obviously, if you're shipping as many bikes as we ship, you need to do it very efficiently. We also are always rolling out newer and better ways to do things, newer and better processes. Like I mentioned, the instant labels, that was new for us this year. Before you had to submit it, and then we'd email them to you after they process, for example. So lots of just increased I would say self-serve capabilities, better tracking, accountability, just trying to roll out all the latest and greatest technology that we can to make the experience go as smoothly as possible. That said, I see trends of carriers kind of ebb and flow in who's leading whom. It's like watching a bike race. One day this guy's faster, the next day this guy's faster. Maybe one day this carrier innovates this way, the next day this carrier innovates this way, or the next year. So they all have a lot of strong points and they're great to work with. And we see that over time as they bring more and more tech into their operations. Now they're under increasing pressure to do more with less. So we definitely see increased technology, just like we see that rolling out across a lot of different industries, more automation across the board, less human being touch to each shipment along the way.
So you mentioned more automation, which in theory should translate to more efficiency. Does that translate to faster shipments as far as deliveries?
I feel like
someone's still flying the plane or driving the truck.
Yeah, I think, you're still going to see pretty similar shipping times, especially when you think about it. You purchase your shipping by shipping speed. So there's no business in selling a, 2-day service and delivering it in one day. You'll never sell your 1-day service. So, typically you get kind of the service speed that you pay for.
Got it. That makes sense. So
now that said, I mean, they're going to be better at sorting, as automation spreads across carrier facilities, things will be more efficient in those sorting approaches to packages moving through systems. You'll need less people to touch stuff and transfer stuff. Now with bikes, it's always a challenge to automate more and more too, because, they're big, heavy packages. It's really easy to ship a small box or a envelope with a puffy down jacket in it. They get handled pretty easily and all kinds of conveyor belts, and things don't tend to go as wrong with that. Once you get larger packages or oddly shaped packages, like the way some of the cases are, it can be a little bit trickier.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to pivot a little bit and just talk about sort of your background, because I love when I get a chance to talk to people who are executives in an organization who are actually passionate about the industry that they're a part of. So tell me about your background. You said you grew up racing, and how did you find your way in this industry and into Bikeflights?
That's a good question. My parents enjoyed riding recreationally for fun, and they were a member of like a local wheelman style club in the area where I lived. And I remember being on a ride with them, and like we pulled up to a stop sign, and some other people came up nearby, and they're like, "Oh, it seems like your daughter likes to ride. Have you heard of the Velodrome?" And they were like, "No." So then we heard about it, and then I spent a lot of time at the Truxlertown Velodrome growing up. They had tremendous programs for community-oriented programs for youth growing up to get into the sport. And bike racing can be pretty expensive to get into, so it's a pretty special gift to be able to like borrow a bike and go to a practice and sign up for a summer program and see if you even liked it before you really committed and got into it. So my dad was a school teacher, so he could take me to a lot of practices in the summer at the track, and there was a really great community. So got into racing track, got into racing road, because you usually did both. And I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. When I got to college, I didn't live near a velodrome anymore, but I'd already been racing for like 11 years. So it's kind of over the racing track part. So switched to racing some mountain bikes, still raced the road a little bit, and just had a blast with it. And over time, eventually stopped racing, but I just love to ride my bike. So still try to get out there as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, think about that. You're fortunate that you live near a velodrome, because track racing is a very niche kind of a sport. Like anybody can go off and ride their bike down the bike path or into the woods or on country roads. But to live near a velodrome, that's pretty fortunate. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think about the velodrome interested you or excited you?
That's a good question. I'm so long ago, I'm not totally sure I remember, but I mean, I think the community, like we had a group of fellow juniors that we all grew up together. So they're almost like an extended family in a way. And we supported each other as we grew up. We'd race together, but more importantly, we'd train together, sometimes twice a day. So those folks become really important in your life, and they witness you sort of coming of age and, improving over time and encourage you. And you challenge each other. Like, we're all competitive. So, you're racing against someone that you train with a lot of times, but you're pushing each other. So seeing that improvement progress over time, I think, is very satisfying, and having that community support is satisfying. And, I think a big advantage to growing up in that kind of an environment too is, if you've ever watched racing on a velodrome, you can see everything. And that was an amazing experience because our coaches could watch everything unfold. And they could be like, no, you needed to be in this position, in this turn, on this lap. You could get really great feedback on your strategy and your approach and your execution within a race, which you can't see that even in a criterium because they just appear around the backside, especially not in a road race or a mountain bike race. They go off for a while. Maybe in a cross race, you can see folks pretty well through a lot of it. But being able to get that kind of a, feedback and learn from these other really experienced racers, I think was really useful.
Do you think that skill set, or just that fitness, or just raw strength from track racing translated well into your other disciplines?
That's a good question. So I think I was always kind of an endurance rider.
Okay.
And I just didn't know it because you never went that long on the track. 2-kilometer pursuit was a big, long event, for folks. And a lot of times we're a 30 lap points race or something. And it wasn't until I was later on, even on road racing, I remember doing some 70-mile road races as a late junior, but, it wasn't really until I could get to college that you could really start doing long stuff, which it turned out I really enjoy. And I remember talking to a coach at some point many years after the fact. He's like, oh, we totally do that. You weren't one of the fast twitch sprinter people, but we were all welcome to compete. And we all just did the best we could with whatever our genes gave us, to be able to do.
So ultimately, what do you think was your favorite discipline in the cycling world? Cyclocross, mountain bike, road riding, criteriums, hill climbs.
I can't pick between, racing wise, I did really enjoy racing the road for a while, but then I also really enjoyed racing mountain bike. But riding wise, I still equally ride on and off road, and I would hate to have to pick one because, I might be doing a lunch road ride one day and a long mountain bike ride on Saturday, so I really just love all of it.
So what do you love most about bike touring or riding for fun? How does that connect you with the mission of what you're doing professionally?
I really enjoyed the bike touring because I think as you get older, it's a little easier to slow down, and my competitive days are way behind me. So, and I sometimes I joke with people that I actually just ride so I can take pictures of all the wildflowers that are blooming along the way. So it's a nice fit for that, just taking in the views. And I love that it lets me get to places that I would probably never otherwise get to if I wasn't riding a bike. Love to travel, love to see different places. And I think that you said has that tie in professionally. At Bikeflights, we serve clients all over the US and all over the world. So I think that experience of having ridden in a lot of different places, interacted with people from a lot of different places, is very useful because you're doing that on a daily basis, whether it's people within the company or partners or customers.
Right. So looking ahead, what excites you most about the industry or cycling community or Bikeflights specifically? What are we looking forward to?
Well, this is kind of I'm always excited because I feel like I work with the best colleagues who are totally amazing, and it's a real pleasure to work with them every day. And I love that we are a small company that is constantly adapting and trying new things, and no 2 days are the same. And so I'm also really excited about all the technology we've rolled out in the last year that has just, I feel like, set us up really well. I know the bike industry is having a challenging time right now, And I think we're in a really good position as the industry kind of rebounds and starts to grow again to really be able to serve people well and give them the best possible bike shipping experience.
Perfect. I love it. So I want to thank you for taking some time today to chat with me and explain to all of our listeners the fantastic benefit that is bike flights. That there are any other ways for us to sort of find out more, or just check out your website?
Well, always check out our website. We do also have a promo code. You could enter Warm Showers and save 10% off your first shipment with Bikeflights. So if you haven't tried us, give us a try. Enter Warm Showers as you check out and save 10% off your first shipment. And I just encourage you, if you have any questions at all, along the way, I know it's kind of intimidating if you've never done it before, give us a shout and we're happy to walk you through it.
I love it. And I will say personally, I've worked with you guys many times shipping bikes. I also work at a bike shop in the summer in Breckenridge, and we use you guys a lot. And every time I've ever picked up the phone and call you guys, you answer, which is a great start. And you always have tremendous help and support. So keep doing what you guys are doing. It helps everyone.
Thank you very much.
All right. So I want to thank everyone for listening to my conversation today with Sue George. Stories like these hopefully will inspire you to set off on your own bicycle adventure and maybe make the world feel a little bit smaller, one pedal stroke at a time. Until then, keep the wheels rolling and the stories coming. Thanks for joining us on Bike Life. I'm Jerry Kopak, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as we enjoyed sharing it with you. Please leave us a rating and review, or just tell your friends. This helps us reach more cyclists and hosts around the world. To learn more or become part of this amazing community, visit us at Warmshowers.org or follow us on Instagram at Warmshowers_org. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or have a question you'd like us to explore, email us at podcast@warmshowers.org.